Thanks for joining us here today at the home of Franklin D. Roosevelt National Historic Site. Today we're going to be talking about how one of the most difficult periods in American history, the Great Depression, impacted one of the most important aspects of everyday life, food. Now, the Great Depression changed the American people's relationship with food, including how they got this food, what food they got, and how they cooked and ate it. I'm standing here in the kitchen of Springwood, FDR's home, to tell you a little bit about how the Great Depression, changing foodways, impacted the Roosevelt family. Now, during the Great Depression, the Roosevelts were living in the White House, but that doesn't mean that they were immune from what was going on in the rest of the country. Before FDR took office, Eleanor met with some of her friends who worked at the Cornell University College of Home Economics to plan low-cost, nutritious meals to serve in the White House. These Cornell-developed recipes that Eleanor chose to serve prioritized nutrition over flavor. They didn't have very many spices and they could be kind of bland. But Eleanor went with this Cornell approach, which was backed by science, because she felt that that was more practical for the Great Depression. She didn't want the White House to be living in luxury while the rest of the country was struggling. And she also chose this Cornell approach of prioritizing nutrition and efficiency because she thought that this was an example that average women all over America could follow and would be more empowered by. And Eleanor Roosevelt had a partner in implementing all of these ideas at the White House, and this woman's name was Henrietta Nesbitt. Henrietta Nesbitt was the Roosevelts' housekeeper when they lived in the White House. She was from right here in Hyde Park, and Eleanor Roosevelt had known her prior to FDR's presidency from their work together in the Hyde Park League of Women Voters. Now, Eleanor chose Nesbitt to be White House housekeeper, not because she was a particularly good cook or because she was good at running a household, but because she knew Nesbitt was thrifty. And at a time when millions of Americans were suffering, Roosevelt and her housekeeper wanted to make sure that the White House was a model of efficiency that even those who were struggling could follow. Now, all of this sounds pretty good, but it resulted in some pretty bland dishes served at the White House. In fact, Nesbitt became sort of infamous throughout Washington, D.C. for being a bad cook. Those who would dine at the White House would often eat dinner before they got there, and frequent dinner guests could tell what day of the week it was by what Nesbitt served. Her cooking was that repetitive. So for example, Mondays she served tongue with caper sauce, Tuesdays she served boiled beef, and Wednesdays was roast beef.
The boring and repetitive dishes that Nesbitt served were a huge source of annoyance to FDR, who loved good and flavorful food. Furthermore, Nesbitt would often disregard the requests that he made for changes to her menus. For example, she continued to serve broccoli even after he asked her not to, because he didn't like it. And on one occasion, when he requested coffee for a group of his guests, Nesbitt sent up iced tea from the kitchen instead, claiming it was a healthier option. Once, after becoming so annoyed by the repetition of Nesbitt's cooking, FDR even clipped coupons for different breakfast cereals and gave them to her because he felt that she had served him oatmeal too many days in a row. Though FDR was fed up with Nesbitt's menus, he was unable to get Eleanor to fire her, and she remained housekeeper for his entire presidency.